Hi, I'm Colin Seal, founder and CEO of Think Law, where we help educators teach critical thinking through our standardized curriculum based off of real-life legal cases and our powerful and personalized professional development that helps educators ask those big questions that lead to critical thinking throughout all grade levels and subject areas. I wanted to talk to you all today about a really exciting experience that I just came back from. I had the privilege to be able to lead a workshop called Beyond Charlottesville, a call to action for Arizona educators, where we talked about some strategic ways that we can look at our responsibility, both moral and even academically, to address a lot of the big challenges that are facing our kids outside of our classroom doors. And recognizing the barriers to getting there and coming up with actual tangible strategies for overcoming those barriers. I was really excited because when we posed a question in our Facebook group on Think Law US just yesterday, we got so many really powerful comments as to our question of why teachers often are very discouraged or afraid to address some of these controversial topics in their classes. We've gotten really powerful responses ranging from this idea that we just live in a very polite society. So asking how much money somebody makes, what their politics are, is generally just seem off limit, all the way to the other extreme of administrators expressly not allowing that to be there. So what I wanted to share, what I wanted to kind of bring to you all is what I would like to call the case for a social justice framework within educational spaces. I know that for schools that might be really rigid about like our kids need to learn this, we have this much content to cover, it might seem a little bit perplexing why you might make a space for these current events, these real issues that are facing our children. So when we talk about making the academic case for a social justice themed framework, it really starts with the 3 C's: caring, character education, and critical thinking. We know that if you don't have a relationship with students, it's going to be really hard for students to learn. Just think about whatever your logic was in 6th grade when you had that teacher and you said, that teacher doesn't even like me. Right? For some reason, you just don't perform, you don't feel motivated. There's this whole part that goes missing. This isn't really about even liking somebody, but by addressing the issues, by actually making sure that you're taking time in your classroom space to bring up the topics that are actually facing our kids on a regular basis. This is actually something that makes them understand that you care and that their lives actually matter to you because you've made the time to put it into your actual instruction. That matters. The second piece, when we talked about character education, when we think about what we're trying to get our kids to do through character education, whether your model has to do with, respect and responsibility and trustworthiness, however you emphasize character education at your school, we know that these are the tough things to teach our students. It's much easier to teach it in the context of things that actually matter. What does it mean to be respectful in light of Charlottesville? What are the actions there that we can look at and subject to the same character education framework that we're looking at our school? It's going to be hard to figure out a way that something like that cannot be considered completely aligned with your school's mission if character education is one of your big values. Last but certainly not least, critical thinking. When we think about what happens when we ask our kids these powerful questions that force them to look at things from different perspectives, to ask questions to get information, to make a wide variety of claims and figure out ways to back up those claims with evidence, this is the type of thing that's going to help us close the critical thinking gap. This is what's going to help our students not only learn the content they need to engage in these sorts of discussions, but how to also apply that knowledge to problems that actually matter. So if you have administrators that feel like, well, there's just not enough room in the curriculum to do this, or if you personally feel like I'm just not an expert at these areas, I just don't feel comfortable, you can overcome that by just figuring out how this aligns to your overall academic goals, period. This was such a great workshop with Phoenix's Teacher America core members and first and second year teachers and some third year as well. And some of the stories that we got back, some of the ideas that we got back when I challenged our teachers to think about how they can start putting this into their lessons more intentionally. We had a teacher that was teaching middle school science, and she said, you know what? My kids love rocks and minerals. They are obsessed with this whole topic area. And I hadn't thought about this until now, but there's this huge issue with building a wall on the border about the types of rocks and materials and minerals that need to be used for it, and just how destructive it would be for the environment. So there's all these different layers for it. And when you look at it, when you look at the facts and the evidence, it doesn't really make sense to really impact the environment in such a really powerful, dangerous way. Well, then why are we doing it? And you think about a population that she serves, it's going to be so powerful. It's going to be so powerful to connect science to a real world issue in such a relevant way. So you're hitting critical thinking. You're showing them that you care. You're really building character by really giving them those courage to ask those big questions and challenge not just the way the world is, but also imagine the way the world ought to be. That's exactly what it means to be building student leaders and getting our kids ready for this future that is inherently theirs. So with that, I wanted to just close off on this. I actually had a moment during this presentation where I got a little bit overwhelmed. I got a little bit overwhelmed emotionally because I realized that this room of 25 or so teachers, they're on the front lines. They are uniquely situated in a place where they can change the world. They can change the world by helping our students question the worlds that they exist in. When you think about how loud the noises are, how loud the voices are of these people who actually believe that a lot of the students we serve actually don't have a right to exist, we realize that our silence is not an option. We realize that our discomfort can't be a non-starter for us. Even in spaces where we're expressly forbidden to step into this area or that area, we need to be the kind of everyday advocates in our school buildings, in our communities, in our classrooms that are going to make sure that we do as much as we can to truly make sure our kids are ready, not just for the test at the end of the year, but for the test that awaits them every single day of their lives. I'm Colin Seal, and I thank you all for your time. Thank you for working with us to help create a world where critical thinking is no longer going to be a luxury good. Take care.